Hey
Let's
everyone,
go.
and welcome back to another episode of LaunchPad. And in today's episode, we're going to talk all about business mindset and the way you need to be thinking in order to reach those kind of levels that you're trying to get to with your business. All that and much more coming up right after this. Hey, welcome back. And as I said in the introduction, we are talking all about business mindset in this episode. And as always, we're joined by Tina Hay from Puzzle Media. Thanks for joining again, Tina.
Hello, Stuart. Thank you for having me. It has been a few weeks and I have missed this, I'm going to be honest.
Before we actually get into the topic here, I just want to share something with you because rather than making this on the official agenda, I wanted to share some cool things that have kind of come up in the last week or two. So, and it's totally off topic. So the first thing is the reason why, yeah, that's right, exactly. The first thing is the reason why my head is so massive this time. So I was actually always, each of the podcast episodes, I've been really frustrated because I guess just the position of my camera compared to, because you're on a laptop, right? So you're sitting a bit closer. Yeah. So you and everybody else that's on there is like nicely framed, and I'm always like way over here, head and shoulders and everything. Anyway, so I found this as a bit of a tangent to that tangent. I found this thing called the NVIDIA. It's like an NVIDIA broadcast tool, and what I actually was trying to find that for was to clean up the audio. It has this filter where it uses AI, like everything at the moment, to basically remove background noise from your audio. So it's free. You install it. I'm running it right now, so I'll be interested to see if it's any clearer or less noisy or anything. Not like it was particularly noisy before, but we'll see how it kind of pans out. And you can turn on filters. Noise reduction is one of them. I tested it. I was speaking into the microphone and I was clapping my hands at the same time. And it pretty effectively removed that noise. So that was one element. But what I didn't realize is that it also has the ability to alter your video as well. So it can blur the background. So normally my background is not blurred.
Yeah.
It has this background blur function. It also has, what do they call it? Head tracking, auto frame. So it basically zooms in to an appropriate, like this is unzoomed. That's how it looks normally. And then if I zoom up all the way, it's like I'm like inside the camera. It's like going up my nose.
The camera.
And, so this is probably, I feel like this kind of matches how you look. But you can toggle it on and off and blur the background. There's a couple of other effects, and it just kind of it runs this in the background. So you basically just in the program that I'm using here, you just select, okay, instead of using my regular microphone, use the NVIDIA broadcast for the microphone and the video input, and then you can control this stuff. It's actually really, so far, been really, really excellent.
So cool.
It also does head tracking as well. So because it's zoomed in, right now, there's all this space that's not visible, right? But if I go like this, it automatically like follows me around.
So
it's
cool.
So good.
That's so cool.
So so now I don't have to worry if
you can't sneak off to like blow your nose or something, though.
No, I have to physically. I have to physically cover the camera if I want to do that.
Is it like an app? Is it an app?
Yeah. Yes, it's a little app.
That's weird. I wonder if that is also, because I don't know if you've noticed over the last sort of 12 months or so, Zoom have launched the addition of having apps. You can add apps to your Zoom calls. And we did it once as a test with someone that basically, they said, do a recording. So we did a recording of I think it was a masterclass. And we used this installation of this app, which they helped us set up. And then they took snippets for us to use on social media, which was really cool. However, that aside, they were telling us that they had to go through the Zoom app approval. Just wondering if this is the sort of thing that maybe you can now do on Zoom, because a lot of people that do podcasts, I found out, are doing them in Zoom and then just putting the audio from there and then using the video on socials like you're doing, and like I'm doing. But yeah, they're actually recording them in Zoom. And I've always wondered how that works, because the audio is not always great on Zoom. Like we do some of our strategy calls, we'll record them so we can, if not all the team can be there, we can refer back to bits and pieces. And the audio is just, it's Zoom. It's just a little bit crappy and there's background noise and there's a dog barking or the garbage truck if someone's working from home. So this might be a good one to use on there as well.
Yeah, potentially. I think this is sort of app agnostic. So, so it doesn't matter what app you're using.
Okay, cool.
Because this is kind of running in the background independently. So essentially what's happening is this tool is manipulating the audio and video, and then it feeds that as an input to whatever, if it's Zoom or Google Meet or whatever it is, it then plugs into this NVIDIA broadcasting system. And I'm talking, it was a 30-second setup. It was really, really easy.
Okay.
Here's something I also wanted to share with you. Totally also unrelated to mindset. We may just actually end up having to change redo the intro.
Let's do it. Just change the topic to random things that we've discovered over the last month.
Right. So I had a client website that we deployed recently. They were for a security company. And as with a lot of business websites, they don't have photos of their team and, the owners, they don't have pro photos and stuff like that. So he was like, look, I want to have a photo of myself on there. And I said, yeah, I think that's important. He goes, I've got nothing that's appropriate. All of my photos are like, I'm on holidays or I'm at the pub or, not professional. So I basically used a tool online. You can do a Google search for AI generated headshots. There's at least a dozen good quality tools, and we picked one of them. It cost, I think, about $45 or $50 to use this tool. He sent me over, I think, about a dozen photos of himself, and I kind of cropped them so they met the dimensions. And it generated about 40 headshots, which were excellent, perfect. You would never know. You would never know that that this was done by AI. We even joked. It even fixed up a couple of crooked teeth that he had.
Wow. So what are they, like different headshots that you can use, or was it like you picked one of the best ones?
On the service that I used, it just gave you a zip file with like 40 different options.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, heaps of different options. Yeah. Gosh. So I was like, here they are. These are the three that I think are the best. He's like, I like that one. I'm like, cool, let's do it.
And he doesn't want to go and get a photo shoot? He doesn't want to just get a photographer in for a couple of hours to...
No. Well, I mean, I guess when you compare the cost, it was like $50. And you would never know if I showed it to you. I'll send you the link after.
Yeah.
You actually no. Let's do it now.
Oh, okay.
I can get your amazed reaction. Here it is. It's going to blow your mind.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So if only because I told you, I think you can kind of see.
I wouldn't pick that was.
But if AI. If you weren't told, you would never guess. No, you just be like, oh yeah, that's how he looks. Yeah. But that is exactly what this guy looks like. It is flawless. So good.
Wow.
So, and the photos were like him on holiday, like, in Bali wearing like a bingtang singlet and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. It was so good.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good.
It was very cool. Anyway, so should we actually talk about mindset, or do you have something else you want to talk about?
Let's talk about some mindset. Well, I've just been away for a break. I think you've had a bit of time out as well. Where did you go? Anywhere nice?
We went to Hayman Island,
Lovely.
for a little bit, and then we just came back from Melbourne for the footy,
Lovely.
which was
So
good.
nice. Are you Collingwood? Are you Collingwood supporter? Nah.
My dad barracks for Collingwood, so
Yeah.
I don't really care. The
Yeah.
game was excellent. It was a good
It was a
close
good game.
game.
It was a good. I
So
don't follow
yeah,
it at all, but yeah, it was a good game.
yeah.
So yeah, I have just been away for. I just did 5 nights down Byron Bayway with a family, and it really was a kind of put the laptop away type break, and it's actually the first break like that I've had since January. So even though I've had a couple of breaks, it's still been quite hectic with what's been going on this year for us at Puzzle Media. So it was so nice to actually just switch off, and I think that power of switching off, there's so much to be said for it. I think you kind of come back so refreshed. Um, you've just got more mental capacity to take on. I don't know. Yesterday was the first day back in the office because obviously it was public holiday on Monday, and the amount of work that I was able to churn through just from having that break was, I probably did a week's worth of work in a day, and then totally exhausted myself. But anyway, it's it is just, yeah, it's just another reminder that you need those breaks from your business to kind of reset. The other funny thing was, as soon as I kind of removed myself, of course, all the ideas come up for things I want to do with the business, and I'm kind of trying not to be in the business. And it's hard as a business owner, I think until you're at the level where you've got people in CEO and ops managers and general manager positions doing the day to day, you're still, most business owners, I know for me, I know you're the same as well, you're still kind of in there, rolling your sleeves up and getting involved. But yeah, just having that break, having a break in your business is just, I want to schedule in a lot more for next year. I was trying to schedule some in, and unfortunately, just due to kind of team changes and handovers and things like that, the breaks have not been as they haven't really been as breakful as they should have been ideally this year. But sometimes it goes like that until this one, and this was so very much needed, so very much
Yeah.
needed. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And it's like you say, when you've got a little bit of headspace, you've actually got some room to think a little bit more creatively, and instead of just what's in front of your face, a little bit more down the track, and make some strategic plans for the future. We actually, after speaking a little bit with Michelle Tavley a while ago, I was talking to her about this exact same thing, and she said that that she and her husband go on like little mini holidays, like where it's just for the weekend or something, or a 3-day, you might take off Friday night and then come back Sunday, so it's kind of like a little extended weekend, and they do that like every, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks or something that they were doing that. She said, rather than going, right, let's do 2 weeks every 6 months or something like that, you have these little micro breaks that are, not so frequent. Like if it was once a month, that would be probably too often and disruptive. But if it's 3 months, then you may as well just wait for a big stretch of time every 6 months. But sort of that 6 to 8 week mark is just enough to just keep you pepped up and go, oh yeah, come back and feeling fresh. And we have been doing that more often. And it's so good. Even we've been away for a little, like we call it a staycation, where obviously we're on the Gold Coast. We went and stayed at a hotel on the Gold Coast, so it was like a 20-minute drive. And it was the first time we did that, and I was like, this is stupid. But it was actually excellent.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I did it with my daughter earlier in the year, and we did a little girly weekend, and we literally went for one night. We went Saturday morning, we checked in, like we couldn't even check in, we left our bags, went, and we were tourists. We were literally tourists. We, I parked the car under the hotel, did not get back in the car. We kind of explored. We woke up and watched the sunrise. We went walks. It was just amazing. And I think, we're very, very lucky here on the Gold Coast. We've got all of it on our doorstep. But just exploring, and I think just not having that travel, having the 20-minute drive, well, then that actually makes it feel like a longer break. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely, I mean, to be honest, mine, I've got children that are all at high school now, and I try and do a break every school holidays, even if it's for 3 or 4 nights. But again, it's kind of once every 2 to 3 months, which is okay when you're not working at all. But yeah, like I said, this year has just been one of those years where I have been pulled back into the business due to team changes, and lack of team as well. Um, but that's now all looking up. So I'm hoping that next year we're back to normal. But yeah, there's definitely something in that slowing down and stopping. And I know you can't always just kind of pack up and go away for 2 or 3 nights. So it's even that taking that space to have a morning off, give yourself a couple of hours off to not be in the business and doing something you love. I remember we were talking about mindset last time. Well, the last time, sorry, we spoke about mindset. You mentioned that you do your ritual where you go down the beach on a Saturday morning with your
Yeah.
friend. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I haven't been because I've been away.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, if I'm
Yeah.
home and there's no reason why I can't, I do it, and
And
it
so
is awesome.
even that 2-3 hours on a Saturday morning. That's just like it's just about you. It's not about the business. It's not about the family. It's not about anyone else. Like having that time. And sometimes you can't do it every week. Like, I know when my children were younger, I definitely couldn't do it every week. But just carving out that time to be able to do it. I know my husband used to. We joke about it. He used to leave for work an hour earlier so he could go and grab a coffee and sit and have a coffee by the beach before he kind of kicked into, and he wouldn't do it every day, but that was his kind of time for him. It's so important to do. So good for you, sort of for that balance.
Totally, yeah. I've also this year, yeah, I guess it was probably this year, implemented a few rules with just how I'm operating kind of on a minute-to-minute basis. So I turned off all notifications on my phone for everything except for phone calls and text messages. So if someone, and there are also frequently times if I'm really, okay, I need to focus on something, I'll put it on Do Not Disturb. So it'll allow, if one of my family calls, the call will come through. But if anybody else calls or messages or anything, it just holds all those notifications until I take it off. And it just prevents that, someone described it to me as like frequent sort of context switching. And I forget what the studies are, that it takes you like a certain amount of time to kind of sink in and get in the zone with a particular task. And if you constantly, you just end up screwing things. Well, I do. You just end up screwing things up and, not doing things properly because your attention's so fragmented. The other thing that I do very frequently is I close my email entirely and I try to check it only twice a day. Because I'm an inbox zero type of person. So I'm always trying to get everything out of that list to get to, or as close to zero as I can. And so when you see something pop in, it's like this OCD. I'm like a rat with a piece of cheese. Like, I gotta go deal with it. But again, it's just taking away from that other important thing, and that person is not going to die if they don't get a reply for it. If it was that urgent, they would probably call. And then I wouldn't get their call anyway because it's on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, exactly. It's on Do Not Disturb. So, but I wholeheartedly agree. I'm definitely not a zero inbox person. But I also have made my peace with things sitting in my inbox that need, like, the urgent stuff gets dealt with when it needs to get dealt with, and everything else is it's not like, no one's going to be spending too much money on their ad budget if I don't attend to that email right now. It's prioritizing internally, and of course, all of our clients have priority. But sometimes as well, you got to remember, and I do this as well. To get something off my plate, I'm giving it to someone else, right? So it's and it could be one of my team. It could be at some point we really need to do this, that, and the other on the website and link that up to whatever, right? It's not an urgent for me, and it's not an urgent for them, and I tell them that. But it's kind of off my inbox, and I know sometimes with the emails that I get in my inbox, it's our clients kind of going, I've had this idea, for our next catch up, and they just want to get it out of their head and kind of voiced. And it's like, yep, great. We add that into our project manager. So the next time we have a meeting with them, that's one of the things that's raised. Versus my Facebook has been hacked. Can you help? That's definitely an urgent that I would jump into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's also just prioritizing within yourself what is urgent, what needs a response. There's a book called, it's not Atomic Habits, The Power of Focus, I think it's called. Jack Canfield, I want to say. And it's about the 4 Ds. So it's do it, defer it, ditch it, and something else. So the do it is it something that's going to take me less than 5 minutes? So it's I really need to book that dentist appointment. Is that just a 5-minute job? Because if I add that to my to-do list, me adding it to my to-do list adds mental clutter, and it's or can I just pick up the phone, or can I just log on if they've got a good system set up? If they haven't, speak to Stuart and book in, find a time that suits me and book in, and then it's done. That's a kind of do it. It's a defer it. Does it need action now? If not, then defer it. Ditch it is that something that I need to do, or is that something that someone else can deal with? I can't remember the other D. What's the other D?
I was going to say delegate it, but it sounds like
delegate.
That was ditch it.
Is it delegate? Yes, it is delegate.
So, but then is ditch it? Is ditch it? Ditch it sound like you're.
Well, ditch it is you'll get an email from someone trying to sell you something.
Oh, that's just deleting.
Do you need to respond to that person and ask them where they got your email address from and go and leave them a bad review, or do you just delete and move on? Yeah. Anyway, it's a great book, Power of Focus, Jack Canfield.
And I think delegating is one of the hardest things to do. Well, I've found that's one of the hardest things to do. I've gotten much better at it in the last 12 months, but it's still a work in progress. And it is that kind of, oh no, everything needs to be done in the exact manner that I would do it. And then there's also this kind of internal, like a balancing act I find with, you know what, in the time it's going to take me to explain to somebody how to do this the way I want it done, it would be faster if I just do it myself. But the reality is that if I tell them how to do it and you invest that time, then they can do it every time afterwards, and they can use their initiative and be self-sufficient. And I won't have to deal with it. I won't have to explain them a second time around.
I'm nodding because 100%. I used to be terrible at delegating, and then I discovered how good I am at it. and there are still moments where I kind of go, oh, but if I explain that, it's going to take me longer. But actually, that doesn't matter. It's going to have to just take me longer for me not to have to do this again next month or next time this problem comes up. Or it is a really, it's not, delegating is really hard when you're in that. I don't like using the word control freak, because I feel like all of us want to be in control of what we're doing to some degree, right? But I do think that there is a lot to be said for being able to let other people kind of take some of the load sometimes. And yeah, I'm much better at doing it. My team will tell you I'm very good at doing it, because sometimes it feels like all I'm doing is just sending things out to be done.
Arming stuff off.
Yeah, which then makes me kind of question why I'm still so busy. But I think it's the learning to kind of delegate the smaller things. This is what I found. I found the smaller things easier. So the things that take less time to explain, easier to start with delegating. And then those bigger things, actually kind of like making time for it with, your team or whoever it is, to actually, right, okay, we've got, I don't know, our monthly SEO reports. We want to kind of go through them. I know that takes time, and I know that normally I send them on this date of the month, within the first week of the month, or however you do things. So making time kind of the week before to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through all of the previous month's reports, pull all of that and have a look at what we're, just kind of preempting it and breaking it down. So it's not this is a half day training session, but just breaking down that training a little bit more. It helps people understand it a bit better as well, and recording all the training that you're doing. So we've just had a new lady start a couple of weeks ago, a new team member, which is great. Got another one starting next week. And we started probably about 2 years ago, maybe a bit more, recording all of the training that we were doing. And so we've got this really nice library now of training of just those everyday things, like what do we do on a Monday when we're pulling reporting, what we're looking at, what we're reporting on. How do we, what are the briefs, where do you find all the briefs for our Facebook ads campaigns and these, and just that breakdown of what's needed, some basic training on SEO, some basic training on Google ads, for anyone that needs a bit of a refresh if they've not been in that space for, if they've not been doing it for a little while. So we found it really helpful, and just keeping track. And then when, it helps when you're bringing on board new team members to give them access to that stuff. And again, I know we're talking about mindset, but that again just frees up that mental load. So, I've had this new lady start, she started in the middle of, quite a busy time for us and me being away. Another new lady starting next week, but being able to kind of set them up with, okay, start having a look at this, and we'll do this combo of online plus me plus some of the other team. And then they get that rounded, because no one's going to learn just from sitting and watching a video, and no one's going to learn just from sitting and listening. There's got to be that kind of combo. And again, that frees up a bit of mental load as well.
And I don't think, just to go back to what you were saying before about, being a control freak or something like that, I don't think that's what the issue is. I think, like, for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you and a lot of other small business owners, where, when you start the business, and you, it was you with your laptop, same deal with me. Like when I started, it was just me doing everything. And, you grow the business, it's successful, it grows to this point, it's, providing for you, and, you're living off of it. And then to hand off critical tasks, it's like, well, that's your livelihood, and you've built it to a certain successful level by doing things a certain way. So I think it's quite natural to go, well, it's imperative that be protected, because
100%.
if it's not done this way, how do I know it's not just all going to fall in a heap? So I think it's understandable I think it's easy to kind of label ourselves as like, oh, I'm a control freak. I don't think that is. I think it's just about like, hey, this is my life that will collapse if this business isn't run properly.
But okay, so I'm going to challenge you there, because you have built a good business, and you've built a successful business and a good reputation, and someone making a mistake once does not ruin that. Okay, and it's also just kind of making a little bit of peace with, what, someone else is going to do something, you're still going to oversee it. If you've got someone tinkering with SEO, you're not going to let them just go rogue on, do what that. You are going to be there, kind of going, yeah, that's great. That's not how we do this part, or no, that's not a backlink that I would be selecting for this reason. I'm the same when it comes to Facebook ads. So Facebook ads are my baby that I kind of protected for so long and did everything. And then I realized, okay, I can't do all of it. And so it was okay, set up campaigns, and then keep everything off until they've been checked, create new audiences, don't launch anything until they've been checked. And then just taking people through that process. so that you don't lose results as well. Because that's, ultimately that's what it is you want the quality of the work that you're doing to still be at that high standard. You want the results to still be coming in. And that still happens when you are, you can still delegate, but just overlook at what, oversee, supervise, monitor, whatever you want to call it, the work that's being done. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. But it's also, your reputation is not going to be damaged with one bad
True. Yeah,
campaign.
it's true.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Or is it? It's funny, obviously we're talking about mindset, but inevitably it comes back to, well, in the context of delegating, which is a key battle for a lot of people that, hey, maxed out with time. Mindset is not the issue. I just haven't got time to, I can't do any of that stuff because I haven't got time. I'm too busy. Ultimately, it comes back to structure. So, you need to be able to hand tasks off to people. That means you have to have people under you in certain roles. And it means you have to have the cash flow available to employ those people. So, that potentially raises, if the goal is, I want to have more mental space or more time to myself, or I want to work 3 days a week or whatever it is, or, I want to not be on the tools every day, then your business is going to have to be functioning at a certain level, like money-wise and profit-wise, in order to put those things in place. Because if you haven't got the money to employ a subby or a receptionist or whatever it is, a salesperson, who knows, then it doesn't matter how motivated you are. Like you can't hand stuff off. There's only so many hours in a day. So it's just, you're going to hit a brick wall. So, at a certain point, the issue for some people may actually be, is my business actually profitable enough to do that? If not, do I need to increase the value of what I'm offering, decrease costs, or both? Then we're talking about sort of bookkeeping, accounting, business coaching type problems, where someone can potentially come in and go, hey, you're spending 90% of your time on a product or service that only has a 5% gross profit. Get rid of that. Focus all of your time on this that has like an 80% gross profit. And then that will allow you, there are these structural decisions that might need to be made in order to enable you to take that next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, sometimes it's, it's that, and it's also, it could be your business model. I had a conversation with someone recently, and she is a psychologist offering one-to-one work, and she's wanting to launch in the online space because she's maxed out on her one-to-one. Okay, she cannot do any more one-to-one. She's burnt out. She wants to do online programs that look a little bit different, but in order to do the online programs, she needs to free up some time to put towards that. And she's in this kind of, well, what do I do? And the truth is, you have to potentially take a bit of a hit to spend some time to build something out that is going to be a business model. Her ideal was, I think she said she wants to do a couple of days in the clinic and the rest of the days just on her online program. So, at some point you have to either take the hit by bringing someone else on. So in her situation, she could bring another therapist in and take that hit money-wise while she kind of quickly builds up the online program. Or she just takes a step back and again takes a slightly, less risk and steps into it. But at the end of the day, it's to make those leaps in business, you do need to take an element of risk. And sometimes that does mean taking on someone when maybe, you're taking someone on full time, but you've only actually got maybe 20 hours a week worth of work for them, taking them on and just trusting that you will find that work to fill that. And I know, I've heard people talk about different ways of doing this, wait until you've got the work and then get them in. It's far less risky. I've done it both ways. I've done it where we've been maxed out and I've taken people on and I've not had time to train them. I've done it where I've taken the person on and the work has kind of just come in and met where we're at in the business. And so I think you've got to, all of this stuff, it is trial and error for what is in your, people will say that there's strategies and there's cookie cutter approaches, but actually the reality is it depends on your business and your situation. You may not be in a financial position to take a hit. The psychologist I spoke to, I don't know what her, financial position is beyond what she's doing. So whilst I was happy to give her some guidance, she may not be able to take a hit and bring someone else in or do whatever at this point in her business. But I do think, to get to that next level in business, unless you've got people doing the tasks, people doing the work, people supporting you, helping you, and that help may be a bookkeeper or, someone sitting down and saying to you, okay, cut these services because they're not making you any money. But unless you have that outside perspective, I don't see how you can grow. Like, I don't know any business that's grown without having some influence from the outside, whether that's a paid coach, working with a mentor, whatever it is. I actually have not come across a business that's just gone, I'm just going to do what I think is right and just wing
see
it.
what happens.
Because it will get you so far, but it won't necessarily get you to, it may not always be that perfect fit for you.
Yeah,
I feel like I've just waffled on a tangent as usual.
You've brought one of the approaches, like you said, you can take the safe one and wait till you've got money backed up or the work ready to go, where you'll be working at 120%, and then like you said, the downside to that is you might not have the time and attention to train someone properly, so it all might fall in a heap. Then you've got the other side where you preemptively engage someone, and there's a lot to be said, I think, for that saying, burn the boats, where you essentially back yourself into a corner where you must find the work because there is no other option than doing that.
And guess what? That works.
It totally works. Yeah. It's amazing what can be done when you deliberately put inescapable pressure on yourself.
Yeah. I signed up to a coaching program a couple of years ago, and it was quite a high ticket monthly program. And I was like, we had just lost our biggest client the month that I signed up. And I was just like,
it's always the way.
Like absolutely just doing the wrong thing here. And because I had that commitment to this coach and I had signed a 12-month contract to work with her, I made it work. I had to make it work. I had to, it was kind of like, right, my priority is paying my team's wages, paying her, and then paying me. Like after I paid all my invoices and suppliers and all the rest of it, like I was at the bottom of that pile for getting paid. And people go, oh, you shouldn't do that. But guess what? It worked because I implemented pretty quickly, because I don't want to be at the bottom of that pile getting paid. It's interesting. It's interesting when you take those leaps. I do think the universe just does meet you halfway. It always has for me, because I trust that it will. Anyhow, I do think that there is something in, having to make things work. And sometimes, it's not always good to work in that pressure. It's not great for everyone to work in that pressurized environment. And I get that, that hustle culture is not necessarily healthy. However,
I don't like that.
it also, I do think that opportunities arise when you're ready for them and when you have capacity for them, in the form of a new team member, in the form of when you go and rent a bigger office, when you make those moves. I feel like the universe meets you halfway every time.
Guys, that's all we've got time for in today's episode. I hope you got something out of it. I know I definitely did. Another great therapy session for myself and Tina. Thank you very much for joining me, Tina, as always.
Thanks for having me. It's always good to chew the fat, as it were.
And I should remind you that you are able to find the LaunchPad podcast on all the major podcast platforms. Spotify is my favorite, but if you have some other preference that you like, good for you. Go listen to us there as well. And you can get therapy for free too. That's all we've got time for. So we'll see you next time on LaunchPad.